Hello, and welcome to Ranking of Saturn, episode 58.5. Today, we are looking at a game that I believe to be extremely important when talking about the history of the Sega Saturn. It's not the greatest game in the world. I would even call it especially good. But it's incredibly important to the history of where Sega was at in the 1990s, you know, and where they thought they were going in the near future. The game that we're looking at is technically a sort of make good. It's an attempt by Sega to try and, tell their fans, look, we know we fucked up, but trust us, we've got some good things in the pipe. There's some good things coming. You just got to hold on, please. Please just hold on a little bit longer. At least in my mind, that's what this game represents. It's Sega trying to say something like that to its fans. And the game that we are looking at today is Sonic Jam. A very interesting release. This game is fascinating. There's people know about this game and they go, oh yeah, that's the classic Sonic collection, compilation with the added tech demo, right? That's what that is. And yes, you are right. That is what this game is. But it is that, and it's so much more. We will get into that. But yeah, Sonic Jam is a one in a long line of Sega continuously returning to the well that is the classic Sonic the Hedgehog games. Games that they've been packaging into collections and trying to sell you again and again and again since the Mega Drive. They've been repackaging these classic games and trying to get you to buy them again since the generation that they came out on, which is insane. Let's go down a list of at least the ones that I've been able to remember here. So the first time they did this was a Sonic compilation, also known as Sonic Classics in America, for the Mega Drive that came out in 1995. On the platform that those games originally came out on, they sold you the first compilation collection. That was a collection of Sonic 1, Sonic 2, and Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. Then 2 years later, they put out the Sonic & Knuckles collection for PC, which is a collection of just Sonic 3 and Sonic & Knuckles. And also those versions of those games have different soundtracks compared to the original Mega Drive versions, which is interesting. Then the same year as that, they put out Sonic Jam, which is Sonic 1, 2, and 3 and Sonic & Knuckles. Plus the aforementioned tech demo that we will be looking at later. Then 5 years later, in 2002, they put out Sonic Mega Collection for the GameCube, which is what I had growing up. Sonic Mega Collection was the Sonic Mega Collection was the first time I got I guess you could say my own, quote-unquote, copies of the classic Sonic games. I had played the classic Sonic games before that, but they were, copies that belonged to other people, so I could only ever play them while I was round their houses. I never had my own copy of Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Sonic 3, Sonic & Knuckles, or whatever, until Mega Collection came out for the GameCube in 2002. Then this next one is not normally included in these lists, but it totally counts. Sonic Adventure DX. You might be thinking, why does the re-release of Sonic Adventure 1 count as a retro compilation? Because people forget Sonic Adventure DX had a dozen unlockable Game Gear games, which was the first time those games were officially available for people to play since the Game Gear. So I think it's all of the Sonic games that ever came out for the Game Gear. So Sonic 1, the 8-bit versions of Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Sonic Chaos, Sonic Triple Trouble, fucking Sonic Labyrinth, which is shit by the way, Sonic Drift, Tails Adventure, and a bunch of others. Like Sonic Blast, I think, is another one. Most of them are fucking garbage. It's really those first two Sonic games that are any good. There are some people out there who are big into like Sonic Chaos. I don't like Sonic Chaos. But yeah, Sonic Adventure DX totally counts. At least the versions of Sonic Adventure DX that has those Game Gear games. Then 2 years after that, in 2005, Sonic Gems Collection came out for the GameCube and PS2. Now that's cool because that was actually not a typical retro collection. That was a collection of games that had not, up to that point, had not been re-released. So that was like the first time Sonic CD had been re-released since the PC port from the mid-90s, which was a big fucking deal. Sonic the Fighters was the first time anyone could play Sonic the Fighters since that game came out in arcades. That was a big fucking deal. A new console version of Sonic R, which was actually just a port of the PC version that they got running on consoles, but what? It's fine. And a couple of others that I don't quite remember right now. But Sonic Gems Collection at the time was kind of a big deal. Then there was Classics, Sonic Classic Collection for the DS in 2010, which I think was just, again, Sonic 1, 2, 3, Sonic and Knuckles, I think. I don't know. I didn't have Sonic Classic Collection for the DS. That was one I skipped. Then there was the Sega Mega Drive Ultimate Collection, also known as the Sega Genesis Ultimate Collection for 360 and PlayStation 3 in 2000 and... Was that also 2010? I think that might have also been 2010. Obviously, that's not just a Sonic collection. That's a very large collection of lots and lots of different Mega Drive games, but also includes a lot of Sonic games as well. Then there's... again, the same year, for PC, there was the Sega Mega Drive Classics, also known as Sega Genesis Classics, which was a piecemeal retro compilation. You didn't buy a whole bunch of games in one go. You bought the games individually as DLC. And every time you bought one game, it would be added to your library whenever you booted the collection up. That was originally released on PC in 2010, and then when they stopped putting games out for it, they then ported it to PS4, Xbox One, and Switch in 2018. And then a few years ago, there was Sonic Origins in 2022, which was a reworking, basically rebuilding from the ground up the original games again, basically, so they can work in like 16:9. Which, if you wanted to play those original games in 16:9, you had to essentially rebuild the games from the ground up again, because a lot of the internal game logic just does not work correctly when you try and display them in a widescreen format. So, and I think that's the latest one. I think I probably missed a couple. Those are the only ones that I could remember. There are probably more because, you know, Sega keeps fucking doing this, and they're going to be doing this well into the future. We can't stop them continuously repackaging and reselling the same fucking several games over and over and over and over and over again until we're all dead in the ground. But anyway, back to Sonic Jam. Sonic Jam is one of the more interesting of these Sonic game compilations. Let's get into it, shall we? This game makes use of the 3D pad, so I have the 3D pad plugged in. This game is fascinating to me. It's so weird. It's such a weird, bizarre thing. Especially the PAL version. The PAL version has one additional weird thing about it that the NTSC versions do not.
Sonic Jam.
So, we're given these two options on the title screen. We have Game and Sonic World. Let's choose the first one for now. Let's go to Game. And so, yeah, we are presented with the 4 games on this compilation. Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Sonic 3, and Sonic & Knuckles. I appreciate that in this compilation they do account for European versions of games with like box art here, so you can see it's got the European artwork on the cartridges. A lot of later compilations will ignore the European versions, like completely. Like Sonic Mega Collection that I talked about earlier. Sonic Mega Collection, the versions on that game are, I'm not just talking about the game versions, I'm talking about the media, like the artwork, the manual scans, things like that, soundtracks. They just packaged the North American versions of those games and sold those in Europe. Which, yes, I'm aware of the benefits of the 60Hz versions over the 50Hz versions. That's fine, I understand, but as a form of like preservation, unfortunately, all you 50Hz haters out there, preserving the 50Hz versions is important. I know you hate them. I know you hate them passionately. You wish they didn't exist, but they do, and because they exist, they're important and should be preserved. And so when you get the later compilations that completely ignore all the European stuff, it makes me sad. Okay, so here's the thing about the versions of these games. They're ROM hacks. Sega put out a bunch of ROM hacks. So you can look at the English manuals or the Japanese manuals. They did the same thing that Sonic Mega Collection would do, in that all the English scans are scans of the North American manuals, not the European manuals. But whatever, it's fine. It's fine. Make do with the cartridge art. The cartridge art was a nice nod. You didn't, the North American manuals are fine. We didn't need the European manuals, I guess. And you can actually look at like really nice, like high-res, for the time, nice high-res scans. Not this, obviously. You got the low-res page picker, and once you found a page, you can then choose that page, and then the console will output at high-res interlace mode and let you look at a much higher resolution scan. And then you can turn the pages with the shoulder buttons or shoulder triggers, depending on your controller. But yeah, these are pretty. These would have been pretty high-res scans for a CRT monitor, and we've got some horrible VSync issues again. Hang on. Let me do the thing where I restart the scaler. Let me restart the scaler. Okay, it's fixed. So these would have been perfectly decent enough resolution scans for like a CRT TV, but now that we have access to things like high definition displays and high quality scalers, we can see very clearly that these are actually not that high resolution. Woof. But these would have been perfectly good enough at the time. They've got high-res manual scans for all 4 games. I like looking at the Japanese manuals because the Japanese manuals are like in full colour, whereas the European manuals are all black and the English language manuals are all black and white. As a quick look at the Japanese manuals to show you what I mean. Yeah, so the Japanese manuals, much higher print quality, full colour, these gorgeous layout. Let's get the high res view going. Gorgeous layout, gorgeous like art style to the manual, full colour, wonderful to look at. Like the Japanese manuals are just better, like stylistically in every way. I mean, gorgeous, so much work and care and effort went into these manuals. I mean, look at this! They even did like little doodles at the back of the manual. Extremely charming, extremely playful. It sucks. It sucks that we didn't get stuff like this in the Western manuals. Really does. Really does suck. Anyway, that's enough of that. So yeah, you have options. You can turn the time limit off. I think because a lot of people don't realise there is actually a time limit in the classic Sonic games. I think it's a 10-minute time limit. You have 10 minutes to finish a level, and if you don't finish in 10 minutes, you die. Most people don't realise the time limit is there because I don't think there's a single level in any of the classic Sonic games that should take you nearly 10 minutes to finish, so it's a weird one. But yeah, if you don't want to deal with that, you can turn it off. And also, Sega added the ability to use the spin dash in Sonic 1, because again, people forget. The spin dash, not in Sonic 1. There is no spin dash in Sonic 1. That was introduced in Sonic 2. But you can totally put it in if you want to, but we're going to turn it off. So you can have time attack mode, only play the special stages if you want to. And then you've got this. Normal, easy, and original. And what this means is basically there are 3 different versions of the game that you can play. If you just want to play the original version of the game exactly as it was on the Mega Drive, you pick original. Sonic Team have since, apparently that they've gone in, they've maybe done some fine adjustments here and there. Maybe there were certain parts of levels that were like a little bit too unfair. It's like some of the levels have been slightly rebalanced. Some of the enemy placements may have been slightly changed. Some of the bugs have been fixed. That version that has been worked on since the original releases is known as normal, and then there's an easy mode version of the game, which basically gets rid of most of the enemies. You only have to play one act between bosses. It's 2 acts, then a boss. In this version, it's only 1 act and a boss. The bosses have like a lot less HP. There are no bottomless pits anymore. I believe all the bottomless pits have either had floors been put in, so you can just jump back out again, or they've been essentially just completely covered up with platforms over the top of them. It's incredibly easy. I'll show you. In fact, let's check out the easy mode version that they created for Sonic 1. Sega! Also, here's the thing that's weird about these versions of these games, specifically in Europe. So everyone knows at this point, it's a very well-known fact, that the European version of Sonic 1 runs considerably slower than the NTSC versions. They corrected that somewhat for the later games. Sonic 2, Sonic 3, Sonic & Knuckles all play relatively the same speed as the NTSC versions, but Sonic 1 is a much slower game than the North American and Japanese version of Sonic 1, in Europe at least. And also the music is like slowed down. The entire game is just running like 12% slower than the other versions in Europe. And then you get the Sonic Jam version of Sonic 1, which is super strange because this game runs the same as the European version of Sonic 1, but the music is sped up to sound like the NTSC versions. So it's PAL gameplay but NTSC music, and that's because the music is not being played directly through the Saturn sound chip like it is on the Mega Drive. It's actually all the music in this game is pre-recorded tracks that are being streamed off the disc, just like a CD track, but not Red Book audio, so you can't actually listen to the soundtracks in a CD player, but it is being streamed off the disc like a CD track, which means it's just the NTSC music, but the game still runs like the PAL version. It's this weird half and half, and it's bizarre. Anyway. So as you can see, we've got extra platforms, extra power-ups, no enemies. Well, reduced enemies, there still are some enemies, but there's less of them. This easy mode is pretty easy. Like Sonic 1 is not a hard game. Like it's, I don't know, it's like moderately difficult, but not like not punishingly difficult really in any way. So the inclusion of an easy mode just kind of seems pointless to me, but sure, okay. If you're like a little kid, you know, and you don't really want that much challenge, you can play easy mode. Okay. I hate the Sonic 1 bonus levels. They are terrible. They are the worst bonus stages in the whole franchise. I would take the Sonic 3 and Sonic & Knuckles bonus stages over the Sonic 1 bonus stages. It's so strange. It's so strange to be playing a version of this game that feels like the original PAL version, but sounds like the 60Hz version. It's such a weird mix. Nope. Thank you. Luckily, falling into the lava is not an instant death. Oh, also, have you noticed we're already in the Marble Zone? We didn't do Act 2 of Green Hill. We completely skipped Act 2 and the boss because we're in easy mode. In easy mode, you only play one act. Oh, also in easy mode the pistons don't move, so normally this piston goes up and down, but they decided to lock this one in place for easy mode. So these versions of these games, the quote-unquote normal and easy ROM hacks of the Sonic games in this collection have never been re-released as far as I know. All of the subsequent re-releases of the classic Sonic games have just been based on the original releases, you know, warts and all. The tweaked versions and the easy versions have never, I don't believe they've ever been re-released in anything ever, so that makes Sonic Jam in its own way completely unique. In many ways, Sonic Jam is very unique, you know, but the versions of these games on this collection are extra unique because they've never been seen again since. I don't know what the consensus is from people on these weird hacked versions of these games, but I think they're kind of neat. Like, yeah, it's, you know, more often than not, I'm going to prefer like a faithful version of the original release more often than not. But it's neat having these like weird, like official like ROM hacks just available. And I'm sure there are people out there who have taken like all the changes that were implemented into the Sonic Jam ROM hacks and then incorporated those changes into the 16-bit versions for emulators and stuff. I'm sure you can find somebody out there who's done that work. Oh my god. Fuck you, Caterkiller. There we go. I should maybe look that up. See if I can track down ROM hacks that attempt to try and recreate the changes introduced in Sonic Jam. And just like before, we only played one act of Marble Zone before we move on to the next world. Oh my god. Here we go. Build up some speed in the half pipe. Oh, okay. That didn't work. Oop. Okay. Oh god, no. Oh, I'm trapped. Okay, I'm out. I managed to somehow steer my way out. Wait, are those spike balls moving? No? Okay, so in the original version of the game, these spike balls go up and down to try and block your path, but again, in easy mode, they've just been locked in place, so you don't have to worry about them. What's this? Where does this go? Oh god, I missed. Let's build some height. Fuck. Oh my god. Yeah. Spin dash. A real crucial addition to Sonic's moveset. Trying to go back and play Sonic 1 without the spin dash is kind of torturous. Oh god, where am I going? Nope, that's... This way, please, thank you. Go this way. What the fuck is wrong with that? No, you don't. No, this way, please, thank you. Yeah, those assets were kind of screwed up. Don't know what those red squares were all about. Oh cool! Labyrinth Zone, everyone's favourite level. Oh my god. I'm trying to get off this... I'm trying to grab this ledge, but I can't get enough height on the jumps. How the fuck? I'm trapped. When I jump, when I'm sliding, I just don't get any air, so I can't land on the ledges. Jump! No, I can't get any air. I'm trapped. I'm trapped. I hate this. Okay, hold up and D-pad. There we go. If I hold up and then press jump, I get a little bit more air, which is interesting. Okay. Oh, fuck. Okay. Ugh. Okay, we escaped. We escaped hell. Oh, cool. Water. These ports are, like, actually pretty good in terms of, trying to, like, preserve, detail and visual effects from the Mega Drive version, because the Sega Saturn is not powerful enough to emulate a Mega Drive. So these are straight up ports, to the Saturn, so they did a really good job of preserving details like underwater ripple effects in the background and the foreground. So you see in the background there's just a continuously slow, like, waving effect. And in the foreground there's an occasional like little ripple travelling up the screen that's completely separate from the background effect. It's cool that they managed to replicate those. They didn't have to cut anything, unlike the notorious PC version of Sonic CD, which cut out a lot of like little effects like that. But in the Sonic Jam versions, everything appears to be where it should be. Now I can't say that for, you know, completely for certain about every detail. I'm sure there's somebody out there who knows a lot more about, you know, the subtle details of these games than I do. But from a layman's perspective, these games look pretty fucking accurate. And because this is easy mode, there are air bubbles every, like, 5 steps. There aren't this many air bubbles in the original version of the game, that's for damn sure. Let's move on. Let's move on to a different game. Fuck you. Drown, you blue rat. Okay, actually, before we move on, I want to check something. I want to see... Because if the game still has the speed of the original 50Hz version, but the music plays like the 60Hz version, then what does that mean for the ending? Because the ending has pretty much a fixed, like it's a non-looping piece of music that ends. And so I wonder if the music outpaces the ending to the point where you just get a big fat chunk of the ending that with complete silence. I wonder. So let's do the final boss real quickly. And because this is easy mode, this final boss is going to be... Wait, no. I want the final boss, not the last level of Scrap Brain. Final zone, there we go. The final boss of Sonic 1, one of the easiest final bosses in history. Complete pussy. You just stand here in complete safety. Because it's easy mode, there are fewer energy balls to dodge, so these gaps are a lot bigger than they were originally. So they somehow managed to make the easiest final boss of all time even easier, because he has less than half the HP that he normally does as well. But whatever, that serves our purposes, because I just want to see the ending cutscene so I can check something. But yeah, even in the original version of the game, that final boss is like nothing. Yeah, the music is outpacing the ending because the music is not playing back at the same speed as the game. So you get this cool little montage of all the levels. It's a pretty good ending for a 16-bit platformer. It's this cool little montage of all the levels combined with the credits. I do like the ending of Sonic 1. Yeah, I think I do think my suspicions are true. I think, yeah, the music is playing way faster. The music is playing way faster than the gameplay because it's the 60 Hz version recorded to a pre-recorded CD track that is streaming off the disc and is not keeping pace with what's on screen. Oh no. Yeah, the scrap brain music started playing while we were still in Starlight Zone. Yeah, the music cuts out a little bit too early. But whatever, it's not that different, it's not that bad. I wonder if they made some like slight alterations to the PAL version so that the difference in music and what was on screen during the ending wasn't like crazy. Sega! Anyway, let's back out. Let's get out of here. Sega! Yeah, the ending music slightly out of sync, but nothing too crazy. Okay. Jump straight to Sonic & Knuckles. Play Sonic & Knuckles by itself, or we can play it with Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Sonic 3. And you can turn off the time limits. Normal, easy, original. Let's go with normal. Let's go with the slightly rebalanced version of the game. Sega! Knuckles just makes a lot of the levels in Sonic 2 trivial because he can glide and climb, so it's a lot easier. Oh fuck! Fucking monkey! It's a lot easier to get where you want to get to in the level with those abilities. Can I get up there? Yes, I can. Monkeys, man. I do love those Sonic 2 corkscrews. I used to think those corkscrews were so cool. It's like, what's cooler than a loop-de-loop? A fucking corkscrew, man. I believe the monkey's name is Coconuts. I think that's his actual official name. Coconuts. Wait, hang on. Get him twice. 3 times if you glide into him. I think Chemical Plant is my favourite level in all of Sonic 2. I think it's just a really cool level, like it flows really well, it's so super fast. The music's great. I love at that point you start going so fast you actually start outrunning the camera. You edge closer and closer to the edge of the screen and the camera just can't keep up with you. Hey, I didn't even touch the sign and it still spun. That's weird. I clearly jumped over that sign, but Sure, whatever. Let's go up here. Okay. Alright, let's find us a checkpoint. And then maybe do ourselves a special stage. No, we can't? Okay. Oh, there's one down there. There we go. Hit the checkpoint, little sparkly ring opens up above us, we jump through, we get a checkpoint. And we get this really, really awkward looking behind the back view of Knuckles. Get 130. Okay. Chaos Emerald get. Oh my god, come on. Can I just climb? I can just climb, it's fine. I'm Knuckles, I can just fucking climb, it's alright. No one cares. Oh. Well, that's interesting. There we go. Be careful, we don't want to accidentally fall back down into the pink goo. Oh, another thing about the way Sonic Jam handles its music is that because it's streaming the music off as a pre-recorded track off the disc, every time you pick up a power-up or you get an extra life, the music for that level begins from the beginning again instead of picking up where it left off before that sound effect played. Because in the original 16-bit versions, the music would pause, let the sound effect for the extra life or the power-up play out, and then continue off from where it left off. Whereas in this version, again, the background music begins from the start, and it's, it's not a deal breaker, but I do notice it. Oh god. Knuckles' glide ability makes this boss trivial. Oh, I don't like Aquatic Ruin. Aquatic Ruin is just kind of annoying. It's a nice looking level, like aesthetically, visually. But it's just kind of a chore to play. Now wait, was I meant to go in front of or behind the waterfall here? I think I'm meant to go behind the waterfall, but for some reason it looks like Knuckles is in front of the waterfall. Is that a Sonic Jam specific bug, or is that a bug that also appears in the original version? I don't know. And if it is a bug from the original version of the game, is it just in the Knuckles in Sonic 2, or is it also in the vanilla version of Sonic 2 as well? Again, I don't have this information. It's just a little bit too niche and granular for me to, know. But I'm sure there are people out there who know exactly, the answer to my questions. Oh no, see, look, the effect looks correct here. Like, Knuckles is very obviously behind the waterfall here, but for some reason that other one, he was in front of it for some reason. Yeah, that first... Act 1 is not an issue. Act 2 is when I think it starts getting actually a problem. Significant increase in water levels in Sonic 2. Come on, give me a bubble. Give me a bubble. There we go. Can't duck those. You gonna give me one? Good. Oh my god. Okay, this is annoying. Are you supposed to land on that? Fuck. What if I just did this? Cool. Didn't quite get the bubble in time. Thanks for trying though. There's nothing feels worse than like making it to a bubble spot, but then the bubble doesn't fucking spawn when you really want it to, and you die. And then as the death animation plays, the bubble comes up. It's like, fuck you. That's shitty. Oh my god. Play a little bit of Sonic 3 and then we'll look at what else this game has to offer, shall we? Again, you have the option to turn the time limit off. You can look at the manuals, like all the other versions, like all the other games. Again, the Japanese manuals are so much better than the Western manuals, because they're like beautifully, like, you know, laid out, full colour, just gorgeous. Awesome stuff. Okay, let's go original, why not? Play as Tails. This game already has an easy mode. It's called Playing as Tails. Okay, some of these rocks break. Not all of them. Oh god! Okay, no, here we go. I forget, he does get tired after a while. Is there anything up here? Something up here maybe? No, not really. Looks like a platform, but you can't stand on it. I love the little flip he does. cool transition. When the forest burns up, everything looks all like red and burnt orange. What's this? What's up here? Okay, nothing else up there, I don't think. Okay, no. Thank you. Oh, I want that. So I think typically that's a double jump. So the shields in this game give you different abilities. The flame shield gives you a forward dash. The bubble shield gives you a bounce. And I believe... Is it the light? Is it this shield that gives you a double jump? Also, it attracts rings. I want to say it doesn't give you the double jump if you play as Tails, because you can already fly, so having a double jump would be pointless. Okay, I do like the background. I like the extremely low sample rate. Hey, come on! In the background when this boss starts. Extremely crunchy, low sample rate, low bit rate voice sample. So first look at the special stage. Some people really hate the special stages in Sonic 3. I don't mind them, I think they're neat. Get this cool fake 3D effect. Whoop, shit. I timed that wrong. I screwed that up. So now we have the bubble shield. The bubble shield... Again, because we're playing as Tails, we can't use the bubble shield's special ability, which is the bounce. But I believe the other side effect of the bubble shield is that it lets us breathe underwater. Rendering most underwater sections in this game trivial. Or extra trivial anyway, because Tails, in addition to flying, Tails can also swim. Oops. Nope. Fuck. What's up here? Cool extra life. Oh. Anything in here? Oh, just a bunch of stuff. Also get, and this kind of bonus stage, like a gachapon machine, so we have the chance to pick up different types of shields. But we've got the flame shield, which is all we need, really. Boss. I love that you can see him behind the waterfall. That's a great visual effect. It's one of those neat little visual details you don't really, like, appreciate when you first see it, but when you learn about, like, you know, hardware limitations and things like that of various systems, you notice shit like that and you go, actually, I bet that was really hard to achieve. You know? So here's the thing: you play as Tails. This level is trivial. You can just swim up out of the water to get air anytime you want. Ugh. I almost made it. Come on. Can you make it to the lip? Come on. You can do it. Yeah, you can. Whoop. I love the idea of a big cartoon hand coming up and holding you in place while you build up speed. Very silly. Oh, no, down. Down, please. Thank you. Ooh. Bubble, please. Please. Thank you. Anyway, that's enough. That's enough. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. You know what Sonic 3 looks like. So let's address the elephant in the room, shall we? Let's do the thing that most people know about this game, which is Sonic World. Which is, unironically, maybe one of the most impressive tech demos to ever be put onto a Sega Saturn. This looks, by the standards of the hardware, and by the standards of the vast majority of games that we have seen up to this point, this looks fucking awesome from like a technical standpoint. Basically, you're this little 3D polygonal Sonic, and you're just dropped into this like this little hub world, this hub level for you to run around freely and collect rings. And positioned around this hub world are little buildings that you can go into that show you different things, like the character house. So you can look at character art in there. And here's this one that lets you listen to music from the series. Here's one that's got a bunch of cool video files that at the time when this game came out were mostly unseen in Western territories, you know? I just love, just like, there's not really anything to do out here. It's just like a little hub world for you to run around. Like the rings don't get used for anything really. There's nothing really to do other than collect rings and go in buildings, and you know, there are timed challenges like this. Oh shit. I didn't, hang on. I'm using the 3D pad to control Sonic right now and it's a bit finicky. Okay. There we go. 20 rings, 1 minute. Can we collect 20 rings in less than 1 minute? I think we can. And every time you start a challenge, all the rings you've picked up respawn. So now we've collected the required amount of rings, we now need to go back to where we started the challenge. There we go. And we can hit it again for a harder challenge, complete that, and then hit it again for an even harder challenge. But I don't think you really unlock anything by doing those. It's just something to do. It's just an excuse to run around the level. But yeah, this is one of the most impressive things to ever be made for the Sega Saturn from like a 3D graphics standpoint, because, well, for one, the frame rate is consistent. Number two, there's like a decent amount of detail to everything. If you look at the textures, sure, they're not filtered, they warp a lot, but the actual texture resolution on all the textures is surprisingly high for a game of this generation. The draw distance is insane. You can stand in one corner of the level and very easily see across to the far side of the level without it being cut off by the draw distance. Which alone is incredible. Like, the draw distance on this motherfucker is great. Look at this. Oh my god. You don't get that weird, like, jagged cutoff where all the polygons and textures past a certain distance just disappear. So this little like area has full analog control, so I'm using the 3D pad right now, and if I push very gently on the nub, the ball joint, the analog thing, he does have full analog control. You've got to walk, you've got a slow run, you've got a slightly faster run, and then you have full speed. So he has full analog movement. Okay. Doesn't make use of the progressive triggers. I thought maybe if I put very gentle pressure on the progressive triggers, the camera would spin extra slow, but it doesn't. It spins at a set speed, so it doesn't make use of those. Tails is flying around the level somewhere, and if we find him and then jump into him, he will grab us and carry us around. Here he is. And this doesn't do anything. This is not useful in any way. It's just kind of a cool little detail. The fact that you can jump into Tails and he'll carry you for as long as you want him to carry you, allowing you to get like a better look at this big open area. And so I mentioned earlier that this game was kind of this game was basically was Sega saying to its fans, like, you know, hey, I know we've screwed up. We promised you a big Sonic game. You didn't get it. But trust us, we're working on something really cool, and here's a tech demo to prove it. And this was their tech demo. And you know what? To be honest, this would have looked fucking awesome back in 1997. If you were a Sonic fan in 1997, and you saw this, I bet you would have been absolutely fucking blown away by it. And obviously this would eventually turn into what became Sonic Adventure 1. Or primarily the adventure stage zones from Sonic Adventure 1, which are basically big open 3D environments that you explore. You can run around and explore. But yeah, this is a really cool little, like, I don't know, thing. You know, if you felt really, really let down by the cancellation of Sonic Extreme, which was a game that was initially planned for the Sega Saturn, and then delayed for years, and then eventually cancelled because it just wasn't going anywhere. What a cool, weird little thing this is. So you remember when we played Christmas Nights? Almost a fucking year ago now, we played Christmas Nights, and I mentioned how when I was getting on the internet in the late 90s and early 2000s, and I was visiting Sega fan sites, and I found all these like weird like media and you know, like assets for like Nights into Dreams on those fan sites, and then years later I discovered like, oh, those people just pillaged the all the stuff from Christmas Nights, because Christmas Nights has like a bunch of like unlockable videos and concept art and things like that were very easily just ripped out of the disc and then put online. This is the same thing. There's a ton of stuff in this game that is very easily ripped off the disc, and so there were a ton of Sonic fan sites back in like the late 90s, early 2000s that just had all of the shit from this game that they could rip and put on there, like all the art, all the video files, music files, things like that. And eventually I would find out later that, oh, this is where they got all that shit. So, fun fact, this is a good shot here. It's really, like, I can't believe that they managed to do, like, decent level of, like, 3D fidelity for this hardware. A fucking perfect draw distance, there's no cutoff at all, and a smooth frame rate all at once. Like, this is an anomaly. Like, I don't think really technically there's anything else on the Sega Saturn that on a technical level looks and runs this well. I think this is it. I think if you're talking about the best graphics technical, quote-unquote technical, on the Sega Saturn, it's the Sonic World tech demo from Sonic Jam. Like, I don't think anything, like, even Panzer Dragoon Saga, which is a beautiful game in its own right, doesn't look quite as detailed as this. You know? Like, this is nuts by the standards of the Sega Saturn. And so Sonic Jam is actually the reason why I started becoming interested in collecting Saturn stuff anyway. So I mentioned in the last video when we played Independence Day that the trailer for the Independence Day game was really the first time I remember hearing the term Sega Saturn. And so that, you know, that is what introduced me to the fact that the Saturn existed. And so I knew as I was growing up, okay, here's this Sega platform that no one ever talks about. Apparently existed for only a couple of years before getting, you know, like before disappearing. And it's really hard to find any kind of like media, like like serious amounts of like, you know, like good screenshots and video and game footage of Saturn stuff in like the late 90s, early 2000s, because the internet was still young. You couldn't really put that much video online, and if you did put video files online, they were usually like postage stamp sized video files with very low frame rate, very low bit rate, shitty looking video clips, so you couldn't really get a sense of what games looked like or ran like. Same with most screenshots back then. Most screenshots back then were taken by somebody using a physical camera, usually to take a picture of a television screen, which looks like shit. And again, uploaded at a relatively low resolution online. That's just what the early internet was like. A lot of like, you know, if you were interested in researching something like the Sega Saturn in like 2001, 2002, 2003, the amount of stuff that you could reliably find that gave you a good idea of what those games looked like and ran like was very small. And so I was not really able to find a lot of information about the Saturn or what the games on the Saturn looked like until Sonic Mega Collection for the GameCube came out. And on Sonic Mega Collection for the GameCube, there is a video that is like a very quick rundown of the history of like Sonic the Hedgehog games up to that point. And one of the clips on that video is of the Sonic World tech demo from Sonic Jam. And I remember sitting there, and it was like the first real, like, decent quality game footage of a Sega Saturn game I had ever seen. And it was like mind-blowing to me. I'm like, holy shit, here's this like relatively decent quality footage of a Sega Saturn game running that doesn't look like pixelated garbage like all the shit I've been trying to download off the internet, you know, up to that point. And I saw it and I'm like, that looks awesome. Wow, it really does look like, you know, roughly about as capable as a PlayStation. And little did I know at the time that the footage I was looking at was of maybe the best looking game on, you know, the best looking thing on the platform. The vast majority of other Sega Saturn software just does not measure up to the Sonic Jam tech demo. And so that like reignites, so that little clip of Sonic Jam in Sonic Mega Collection reignited my interest in the Saturn and trying to like learn about it and eventually start collecting for it, which I eventually did start buying stuff in 2006, and have kind of been buying stuff ever since, really. It's been nearly 20 years of collecting Sega Saturn stuff, and if I could talk to myself back in 2002, what would I tell myself? Would I tell myself, it's going to be great fun, you should do it? Or should I tell him, should I tell myself, maybe don't bother? Or maybe I should tell myself, don't buy everything? Buy this, 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 and this, and leave everything else alone. I'm not sure. I'm not sure sometimes what I would do. If I have the knowledge then that I do now, what would I have done? Would I have gone on to collect the Saturn like I did? I don't know. Because there are things about the Sega Saturn that I still really enjoy and really appreciate and really, like, you know, am very fond of. But my opinion of the system is now nowhere near as high as it was when I was like really into it, when I was like, I need to learn everything I can about this fucking like mystery console that I never saw despite being a Sega fan. I need to learn everything about it. I need to buy it. I need to study. I need to understand. Whereas these days I'm more like, yeah, I don't know, it's okay, I guess. I mean, there's some really cool shit, but most of it's kind of bad. It's interesting how time and experience kind of like changes you as a person. So anyway, spread out around this hub zone are these little hidden signs. Here's one down here. And so these are like little hidden secrets hidden around this area that basically tell you how to access level select codes in all the games. So here's the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 Supersonic cheat code. Go to Act Select Code. So you've got to find the code, the level select code elsewhere in this level first, then input that code, then I think select 4, 1, 2 and 6, which I believe are songs in the sound test, and then hold A and start, then click 50 rings and jump to turn into Supersonic. Here's another one. This is code 2. Edit mode in Sonic 1. Which, you know, if you didn't have access to the internet in 1997, this was probably the first time a lot of people knew that these cheats existed, right? I love the fact that there's this... Hang on, what's this one? Code 4, Sonic 2, Act Select. If you look, here's another, like, unnecessary but really cool detail, is if you jump into the river, you'll notice that the texture under the water is animated. They animated the texture under the water to give it the effect of, like, light refraction through a body of water, which is another cool little detail they didn't need to add, but they did. Also, I like the combination of like real-time dithered shadows, like dithered drop shadows, like the one under Sonic and under these floating platforms, and yet also the inclusion of these like very obviously baked-in shadows in the textures. You look around this platform, you look under this bridge, there's a straight-up painted on shadow on the texture. Which is another great little detail that they didn't have to add, but they did, just to give it that little bit of extra polish. This is wild. Anyway, let's look in some of these buildings now, shall we? Let's stop wasting time and get on with it. So yeah, you run up to a building and then you hit the A button. And then you get to see all the stuff. Also some stats. Age, unknown. IQ of 300. He never gives up. Weak points. He acts like a child, regardless of his IQ. Likes machines, dislikes Sonic. And these are all like relatively high-res pieces of artwork, which is probably what made them so desirable for fans to rip out and put on their fan sites. See, Badniks from Sonic 1. Again, this is all like relatively high resolution stuff for the era. Roller, Neutron, Motobug, Buzz Bomber, Crab Meat, Chopper. Get some Sonic and Knuckles concept art. And a lot of this stuff would never be put in another compilation. Like, no, I don't think very much of this stuff was put into like Sonic Mega Collection, for example. Like, I think Sonic, a lot of this concept art and artwork and character bios and video files that we're going to look at aren't in anything else except Sonic Jam. Like, Sega never put them into anything else after this. I love the fact that the Techno Squeak is literally just a computer mouse. That's very silly. Okay, so if we go into the other side of the building, we can get concept art for the main characters. Sonic is apparently 16 in this game, which is funny. Strong point. Running speed can exceed Mach 1. Weak point. He can't swim. Likes fast moving things and music. Dislikes the word slow. Alright. He dislikes the word slow and tears. Okay. It's a weird bio. We get some concept art. Which is kind of neat. What's up with Knuckles? Age? Knuckles is only 15. He's younger than Sonic, which is funny. He can dig holes and climb cliffs with his spiked knuckles. He also has the ability to glide through the air. Weak point, girls. He's shy. Likes fruit and digging holes. Dislikes strong sunshine. I always imagined Knuckles as being slightly older than Sonic, not slightly younger. What's friends? Okay, so it's like the animals you pick up in the games. Pocky, Flicky, Ricky, Pecky, Cucky. I love the fact that there's a character canonically known as Cucky in Sonic lore. Very funny. Very funny. Okay, what else is there? Go to the music house, the sound museum. I love that you can just access the music and like sound tests from all the games in one place. This is a cool song. This is a really good song. Okay. Where's the really bad one? Where's the famously awful Sonic 2 track? Like, it's not a bad song, it's just some of the instrumentation is a little bit too harsh on it. Where is it? This is it. I think this song's kind of cool, but some people fucking hate it because the instrumentation is way too harsh. Okay. Where's Starlight Zone? There we go. It's a genuinely good song. The soundtracks in all of the classic Sonic games are pretty much solid all round. Some original music for Sonic Jam, apparently. Alright, let's go to the next one. I love it again. The trees are fully polygonal. Well, the leaves are. The trunk isn't. The trunk is a 2D object, but the leaves are fully polygonal. It's halfway there. They had to make some cuts, I guess, somewhere. And then we get to the Sonic movie house, which was a treasure trove. I imagine must have been an absolute treasure trove for people in like 97, but it was still even a treasure trove for me in 2007 when I started collecting. So you've got like higher quality versions of the Sonic CD intro and ending, which had already been seen in the PC release of Sonic CD, but for people who hadn't seen those versions, I also really appreciate the fact that they used the Japanese/European soundtrack for these videos. They didn't just put the US soundtrack on these videos like they did in Sonic Mega Collection. You know what? Sonic Boom is a fine song. I've got nothing against Sonic Boom. I just prefer the Japanese-European soundtrack. I'm sorry. It's way more experimental and interesting. Yeah, I do prefer the Japanese and European soundtrack to the US one. I think the US soundtrack is fine. It's just I don't think it's as interesting. And again for the ending. Some really gorgeous animation on this. Like, they really, like, whoever Sega got to animate the opening and ending to Sonic 3D really fucking knocked it out of the park. They are very high quality animations. I mean, look at this. Look at that. Hand drawn. God, and then you get this. So this is not the first. So this Sonic Jam is not where I saw this the first time. I originally saw this trailer years before. I think I saw this trailer in like 2000, 2001. I think it was either 2000 or 2001 is when I first saw this trailer. I think I downloaded it from a fan site, and obviously that fan site had taken it from this game because it's the exact same video file. But this is the trailer for the OVA movie that only came out in Japan and had a very, very limited release in North America. This movie has never been officially released in Europe, ever. And I don't think it's ever been officially released in North America outside of its original very limited release in like 97, 98. I have this movie on DVD. I have a bootleg pirate copy on DVD, and it's actually a very good quality bootleg. I want to say they somehow managed to get hold of an official Japanese DVD release, and then just copied that and put that on their own disc. This movie's not very good, but it's got some really well animated sequences in it, like the whole fight with the giant Robotnik mech in the city is extremely well animated. It's some gorgeous animation. Like, you can really tell where the animators spent the time and money, and you can really tell where they didn't spend the time or the money. There are certain shots that look excellent, and there are certain shots that look very cheap and rushed. Overall, the animation quality of this movie is extremely uneven. And the Western dub is hilarious. They gave Sonic a very, thick, southern drawl. In this movie, like he's from fucking Alabama or something. He kind of talks like this. It's very, like he's from, the southern states of the US or something. It's very strange. It's very strange why they gave him that accent. And then there's a bunch of other stuff. I think there's a concept animation for a cartoon that never got commissioned. I think they were experimenting with a style of animation that uses a combination of traditional hand-drawn animation and CG together at the same time, and I think this was a concept animation to try and sell it to a TV network to pick it up, but it never got picked up, and so this is all that exists of it. I think it's this. Is it this one? Yeah, this is it. Yeah. So representatives from Sega would take this to various TV companies and say, "Here, we've got an idea for a show, for a cartoon you can make. This is the kind of art style we think you should use," and nobody ever picked it up. This would have been post Sonic Underground, wouldn't it? Yeah, Sonic Underground was mid-90s, and so this would have been... I actually don't know when this would have been. Maybe this would have been when this was made. Sonic Underground wasn't a thing, or I don't actually know the time frame this was produced. Anyway, that's enough of that. The commercials. The commercials are the best. So these are all the Japanese TV ads for the games that are in this for a lot of the classic games, not just the games in this collection, but others as well. So here's the Japanese ads for Sonic 1. These are great. I love all of these. They're so silly. They're so goofy. Fucking hell. Stop motion claymation Sonic haunts my nightmares. It's very goofy looking, but I'm kind of into it. So all these video files are extremely easy to get off the disc. They're just stored on the CD as AVI files, so any computer can play them. And like I said, all of the fan sites back in the early 2000s had all of this shit. Sonic 2 ad. These look like miniatures. On first blush, you'd think that those are CG animations, but you look at them and you look at the way they look, and there's certain things about the way that terrain looks that looks too good for CG animation from the 90s, especially the early 90s. And so I'm pretty sure those like representations of like Green Hill Zone and Chemical Plant are like physical miniatures that somebody built, and then they like moved a small camera around the miniature to simulate, you know, like it's following something that's fast moving around, and they hand animated Sonic on top of that footage. I'm pretty sure that's what that is. Let's look at it again. Because yeah, if this is CG, that's way too good for like the early 90s. Especially for a TV ad. Like, no, that's a miniature. The quality of the video file makes it hard to tell, but I'm pretty sure when you look at certain shots, it's a little bit too good for the time frame to be CG. So I'm almost certain that's like a miniature set that was filmed and then hand animated over the top of. Which is nuts.
Hey, come on!
Non-stop power play. Sonic the Hedgehog 3 from Mega Drive.
Japanese TV ads were just operating on a completely different level back then. Sonic Spinball. I personally think Sonic Spinball is a fucking awful video game, one of the worst games ever made for the Mega Drive. It sucks shit, but apparently some people like it. I do like the part where the guy says funky action in a Japanese accent. Yeah, Sonic Spinball's not good. It's a bad Sonic game, it's a bad pinball game. It serves no purpose. It has a terrible soundtrack. It is a bad, bad game. I want to hear the man say funky action again. This time while I'm not talking over him.
Sonic が超音速で弾け飛ぶピンボールゲームに挑戦だ。アメリカ生まれのファンキーアクション。Sonic Spinball メガドライブからソニックビンゴプレゼント実施中。
I do like the way he says funky action. The Sonic CD ad.
Mega CD.
究極兵器メタルソニック。最速にして最強のライバル出現がソニックを熱く過激にする。過去へ未来へ超音速アクションは時空をも超えた。
Sonic the Hedgehog CD from Mega CD.
I like that they're still using the stop motion Sonic for their TV ads. And you got some Game Gear games: Sonic Chaos, Sonic Triple Trouble, Sonic Drift.
手のひらサイズのカーレースソニックドリフトゲームギアから。
Yeah. The original Sonic Kart Racer, Sonic Drift for the Game Gear. It's not a very good game. It's not a very good game. Again, a treasure trove. A treasure trove. For anyone who was a fan of Sonic back when this game came out, or even several years later. What's this one? Art gallery. It's now a concept art collection. Just some various production art. I'm guessing a lot of this stuff would have been made not necessarily for marketing, for the game, the purpose of marketing the games. I'm sure some of this was used for Japan used to do phone cards for payphones. Europe, at least the UK, had a similar system in the 90s. You'd have a plastic card, and you would take that card to a shop, and then that shop would put money onto the card. It was a system to try and stop people vandalising phones to steal the change out of them. So you would put money onto the card, you'd go into the payphone, you'd swipe the card, and then you could make the call. And Japan had a similar system of phone cards, and you could get all kinds of different all kinds of promotional phone cards with different artwork on them. And I'm guessing a lot of this artwork was used for phone cards in Japan. Yeah, I bet these were phone card illustrations. Or something similar, like a similar type of thing. They just all kind of have the correct aspect ratio for a phone card. That's what makes me think that's what they were originally for. Unfortunately, you can't zoom in on these. This is the native resolution of these files. So it's not like they're higher res and you can zoom in like the manuals. Like, no, there's no zooming to be done here. This is the actual resolution of these images. So yeah, and so like lots and lots of companies apparently would do these promotional phone cards, that obviously people would collect. And so they would put out dozens and dozens and dozens of different art treatments to try and encourage people to collect the phone cards, It's possible some of this stuff was used for other things as well. Maybe stationery, maybe greeting cards, things like that. Event posters, maybe. It's a shame that these aren't higher resolution. I wonder if Sega has ever released higher res versions of these art assets anywhere. I wouldn't be surprised if they haven't, though. I would not be surprised at all. I've definitely seen a high-res version of that artwork somewhere. I've definitely seen a higher res version of that one. So some of this stuff has been re-released, but maybe not all of it. Okay. What else is there? Can't get up there. I like how this this giant rock has a tiny drop shadow. Teeny tiny drop shadow for the giant rock. Okay, I think there's another building we can get to. Over here? Anything over here I want to look at? No, not really. Okay. The Hall of Fame. Okay, so this is an interesting little thing. 1990. So you got like a little like retrospective of the history of the character. Sonic debut was first announced in 1990 concert tour, Japan's mega pop group Dreams Come True. Huge Sonics were painted on the sides of their tour trailers. 91. North American release, the European release, the Japanese release. Okay, so it came out in... apparently it came out in North America and Europe first, before Japan. The Japanese version didn't come out until July, whereas North America and Europe were both June. Interesting. So the release dates of the Game Gear games, I personally like the first two Game Gear games. I know some people like to shit on the first one, but I think it's a nice game. I think it's a good game. Game Gear Sonic 2. Weirdly enough, the Game Gear version of Sonic 2 came out in Europe first. That's interesting. The 8-bit... Is it true the 8-bit Sonic 2 came out before the 16-bit Sonic 2? Hang on. 10th month of 1992. 11th month of 1992. 10th month of 1992. Yeah, Sonic 2 came out on the Game Gear and Master System before it came out on the fucking Mega Drive, which is amazing to me. According to this, October 92 for the 8-bit version, November 92 for the 16-bit version. That's wild to me. I would have assumed the 8-bit versions would have followed the main versions. Sega becomes official Formula 1 team sponsor. Yeah, because Sega were big into Formula 1 in the 90s. Because they were still making Formula 1 games. Official sponsor of Jeff United, a Japanese professional soccer team. Okay, so they're even like talking about like weird like promotional stuff and sponsorships and things like that. That's, you know. Donington, Sega sponsored the third F1 GP of the year. A huge Sonic balloon and Sega bulletin boards were put up all over the Donington F1 circuit. There's a weird photo of a very awkward looking Sonic balloon next to a cherry Coke can. Sega Sonic the arcade game. That's the trackball game, right? That's the arcade game where you play with a trackball. That game's weird. Very strange. Okay, this time the Japanese version of Sonic CD came out before the other two versions. The European version still came out before the North American version. Some of the other Game Gear crap. Sonic Spinball. Blech. Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Mean Bean Machine. How far does this go? We're going to keep going till we get to the end. Mean Bean Machine is just a rebranded version of Puyo Puyo. They literally just took the game Puyo Puyo and put Sonic characters on it. It's not an original puzzle game at all. Sonic the Hedgehog Game World for the Pico. I forgot that the Pico was a thing. The Pico was basically like an early learning laptop. I say laptop. It was like a toy that looked like a laptop, and it was intended for very young children, like 4-year-olds, like four to 6. I would say 4, 5, and 6-year-olds. It's basically like a just a toy that acts a bit like a laptop. Here's some really, really shitty screenshots of Sonic Drift. Oh, we can zoom in on these. That's cool. Yeah, you can really zoom in on these extremely fucked up looking screenshots. Oh, hang on. Okay, yes, you push A on a certain point of the timeline and it gives you a couple of screenshots from the game that it's talking about. Okay. Oh, that's cool. Here's a high-resolution scan of Sonic Spinball for the Master System. Great. Yeah. The worst version of an already terrible game. Excellent. Here's some, oh, hang on. Here we go, some high-resolution scans of the Pico stuff. The most interactive learning aid available. Play like a video game while learning. Develop skills in rhythm. So, oh yeah, here we go, ages 3 to 7, so I was close. You can kind of see it there. It looks a bit like a laptop, but it's not really. It's just a kind of a expensive toy for very, very young children. Now, oh, god damn it. I keep accidentally hitting the wrong button. So again, we can zoom in on these already extremely low resolution screenshots. Those are the only two pages there. Well, here we go. Sonic and Knuckles. This time the European version came out last. I remember thinking that logo was incredibly fucking cool when I was like 8. I remember being like 8 or 9 and seeing that logo and thinking, yeah, that's really cool. I mean, like, it's an okay logo. It's an okay logo. Some more Game Gear shit. There's Knuckles fucking Chaotix. Knuckles Chaotix is not a good game. It's an interesting game. It's stylistically interesting. I would not call it a good game. Like, the people who champion Knuckles Chaotix are the same sort of people who champion Nights into Dreams. It's like, okay, buddy, I can tell you're really into the technical achievement, but the game itself kind of sucks. Please shut up. Yeah. Okay, she's got a high-res scan of the European box art, which is nice. Sonic Drift 2. So yeah, Sonic Drift is a weird one. So Europe and America did get a game called Sonic Drift. But it's weird. So Sonic Drift 1 never left Japan. Nobody got Sonic Drift 1 except Japan. Sonic Drift 2 did come to Europe and America. It came, I think it got released in America as Sonic Drift 2, despite the fact Sonic Drift 1 didn't get an American release. But when it got released in Europe, it was just called Sonic Drift. So it's very common for people to get mixed up between the actual Sonic Drift 1 and the European version of Sonic Drift 2. It still causes confusion to this day. But yeah, the European Sonic Drift is just Sonic Drift 2. Tails Sky Patrol. Oof. And there's that first compilation set I mentioned at the start of this video when Sega started repackaging and reselling the same few games over and over and over and over again every few years to suckers. Yeah, that's right, yeah, Tails Sky Patrol. No, was it Tails Sky Patrol, or was it? So wait, is Tails Sky Patrol and Tails Adventure are different games? Okay. For a really long time, I always assumed that Tails Sky Patrol was just the Japanese name for Tails Adventure. Apparently I'm wrong. Apparently they are completely different games. Okay, good to know. So yeah, before there was... Okay, so it was Tails Adventures. So before there was a Sonic Adventure, there was a Tails Adventure. Yeah, Tails Adventure. Predates Sonic Adventure by at least 4 years. Some more. God, Sonic Labyrinth. Oh my god. Do you want to talk about one of the worst games ever made? Fucking Sonic Labyrinth. Jesus Christ. So the 2-in-1. The 2-in-1's pretty cool. In my opinion, the only two 8-bit Sonic games worth owning. Actually, no, you know what? Maybe not. Not Sonic Spinball. I thought that was a Sonic 1 and Sonic 2. 2-in-1. It's not. It's Sonic 2 and Sonic Spinball. One of those games is good. The other one is not. Oh god, Sonic Labyrinth. Blech. It's the one Sonic game worse than Sonic Spinball is Sonic Labyrinth. It's fucking awful. Basically, they tried to do a knockoff Sonic 3D Blast on the Game Gear, and it was fucking shit. Like, if you think Sonic 3D is bad, you should play Sonic Labyrinth and actually get some perspective. If you think Sonic 3D is one of the worst games ever made, you should play Sonic Labyrinth. Recenter yourself. Understand what is truly a bad game. Oh, and then they're talking about the OVA movie, which I think was originally released in 2 separate parts in Japan. So they would release the first half of the movie on a VHS tape, and then they would release the second half on a separate VHS tape. So you had to buy 2 fucking tapes to get one movie. Whereas when they released it in a very limited fashion in North America, they just edited the 2 halves together into one. Like, I think it's about an hour long. It's just over an hour long. It's not even a very long movie. It's like an hour and 5 minutes or something. It's not very long. Let's see, Sonic the Fighters. Sonic the Fighters is a very interesting fighting game, but not a very good one. It's not a very good fighting game. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to all those die-hard Sonic the Fighters fans out there. What if we made a fighting game where mashing the buttons as fast as possible is the whole point? God, AM2 actually put their fucking name on it. Jesus Christ. I bet they regretted that. We've got to be nearing the end. Oh yeah, Sonic CD for the PC. Like I said before, the PC version of Sonic CD is imperfect. It leaves out a lot of effects and subtle details that were in the original Mega CD version. But it was a way for people to play Sonic CD who didn't want to buy an expensive Mega CD. Whoops. And also, like I said, it was the first time anyone got to see the higher quality intro and ending videos. Gods. There it is. 3D. Sonic 3D is fine. It's fine. I would not call it an especially great game, but it's fine. I think the people who are mad at Sonic 3D, I think they expected it to be something else, and it's not the game that they wanted it to be, therefore they hate it. They'll hate a game like Sonic 3D, but they'll defend a game like Sonic Spinball. That shit makes me sick. Sonic Spinball is like actual fucking trash. There's some screenshots of a Sega Saturn game that you probably already own if you owned Sonic Jam back in the day. US box art. We've got to be nearing the end. We have to be nearing the end. Sonic Blast for the Game Gear. Sonic & Knuckles collection for the PC. Including Sonic the Screensaver. Okay. And then Sonic the Hedgehog the Screensaver as a separate release in Japan that you had to buy separately. That's fucked. Oof. God. That's it. That's all of it. That's all the history that this game has. Yeah, there's not really anything else to show you. This is kind of everything. I've just kind of shown you basically everything there is to Sonic Jam. It was a decent little, like, retro compilation of the classic games with some additional modes, some additional settings, some additional, like, ROM hacky versions, you know, to mess around with. And it included this genuinely really incredible tech demo that I'm willing to bet was the best thing anyone had ever seen running on their Saturn when they got this. Apparently this uses a modified version of the Nights into Dreams engine, which is really surprising to me because one of the defining features of the Nights into Dreams engine for me is the abysmal draw distance. So the fact that they somehow managed to implement a much better draw distance onto that engine, it's very impressive. I guess this is technically also the tech they would use for Burning Rangers eventually, but I can't be certain of that. All I know that from like a technical perspective, this kind of blows everything else out of the water. Like, not just from a, you know, fidelity standpoint, but from a draw distance standpoint and from a performance standpoint. This is basically untouchable by any other 3D game on the platform. It's nuts. It's kind of nuts. Thumbnail shot right here. Anyway. We can quit either by using the menu, or we can physically find the exit and leave through the exit, which is a really silly. It's best to think of this as like an interactive menu, you know. Here it is. There's the exit. Let's get out of here. As much as I can really talk about Sonic Jam. There simply is nothing else to talk about. Anyway. Where are we going to put Sonic Jam on this list? Sonic Jam. I'm torn on Sonic Jam. On one side, it's kind of just a glorified tech demo with some like additional things thrown in to sweeten the deal, you know. But on the other hand, if you were a Sonic fan in the late 90s, this is fucking catnip for you. Like, this is a treasure trove of things. Like, you could obsess over the things in this game for months, you know. All of the concept art, all of the video files, all the weird little secrets and the challenges, the weird like rebalanced like ROM hack type versions of the classic Sonic games. You know, like the fact that they added 3 versions of every game. You've got the original version as it was on the Mega Drive. You have like an updated, slightly tweaked, rebalanced version that the developers thought was better. And then you have the straight up easy mode version, which makes finishing the game completely trivial for babies. It's really interesting. Really interesting. And also, if you were a Sonic fan back then, it would have been a glimpse at the future of the franchise, right? That Sonic World tech demo would have been your first exposure to what they were trying to do with Sonic Adventure, you know, what you wouldn't see for another 2 years. It's a good little compilation. Like the versions of the classic Sonic games have been ported really well. Because like I said earlier, the Sega Saturn is not powerful enough to emulate a Mega Drive, so it has to be that the games have to be running natively, which makes them ports. And so they're really, as far as I can tell, they're pretty good ports from like a visual and performance standpoint. I'm sure there are people out there who know the original 16-bit versions inside and out and know every little detail and every little quirk, who can point out dozens of inconsistencies and, you know, and mistakes in this in the versions of the games in this collection, but I can't. It is weird how Sonic 1 plays on the PAL version. I mean, you know, the Japanese and North American versions of Sonic Jam don't have to worry about this, but because the PAL version of Sonic 1 did run so slow, and the music was also slow with it, to have it still run slow, but have the real speed pre-recorded music track on top of it. So you get this weird combination, like 50 hertz, 60 hertz version of the game that is just really bizarre. Athlete Kings is a better game. I like Soviet Strike more. Virtua Fighter Kids is better. But we are starting to run into I like it more than Mega Man X3. I like it more than Space Hulk. I like it more than Mass Destruction. I like it more than Mystaria. It's here somewhere. It's better than Amok. It's better than Three Dirty Dwarves. It's better than Lost Vikings 2. I would take it over Nights into Dreams. I would take it over Alien Trilogy. I would take it over Golden Axe. I would take it over the Saturn version of Magic Carpet. I would take it over Worms. I would take it over the original Daytona USA. I would take it over Die Hard Arcade. I would take it over Tetris Plus. It's better than the Saturn version of SimCity 2000. I think it's a better... I think it's a better overall package than Daytona USA. Is it better or worse than Tempest 2000? Is a weird ROM-hacky collection of 16-bit platformers plus a weirdly impressive tech demo a better game than Tempest 2000? Yes. It's our new number 35. Congratulations to Sonic Jam for being a top 40 Sega Saturn game. Genuinely a really cool thing. It's such a weird thing, right? It's you got those versions of those classic games, which is already weird enough. But then you've got the big, ridiculously impressive tech demo side of it as well, which, you know, with all the different media for you to look at and pore through and watch and listen to, which would have been an absolute treasure trove for people into this franchise back then, you know. I think there's also there are also wallpapers on the CD. So if you take the game CD and put it in an optical drive in your PC, there are straight up some wallpapers that you can copy off the CD for your desktop. I believe they're like 800 by 600 resolution, so not very high resolution by modern standards, but at the time they would have been pretty... They would have been big enough for most people. I don't think there are many people running Windows desktops or Mac desktops at a higher resolution than 800 by 600 back then. Yeah, it's a weird but cool thing that is very, very unique when compared to like every single other packaged compilation of classic Sonic games. Like, Sega never really put this much effort into a compilation ever again. Realistically, like there are other compilations that do their own weird things here and there, but none of them are as elaborate as what Sonic Jam does. It's such a weird thing. Anyway, that is all for this video. Next time, we have 3 more games. We have a 2D action game. We have a fighting game. And we have a space sim, if you can believe that. Have we ever had a space sim before? I don't think we have. I think this is the very first space sim we've ever seen. Space sim. I don't think we've had any other space sims. We've had flight sims, but no space sims. Yeah, our very first space sim next time. Look forward to that. Anyway, that's all from me. Thank you for joining me. My name is The Real Blue Dragon, and I hope to see you again next time. Goodbye.